Hi and welcome to show number 6, Relief at Last, where we shall also make a start on belief. You might think that relief is a strange topic to be covering at this stage, but I can tell you that this is so powerful that it is a difference between success and failure in obtaining all the things you desire in life. So let's look at relief. What does it mean? If we had a short ponder on that for a moment, we could likely come up with some meaning that we could explain to another person based on, say, a dictionary definition. However, that is not enough for our purposes. We must have a far greater understanding. So I'm going to ask you to follow me on this story. I'm going to assume for this story that you're a parent. If you're not, then try to relate it as best you can to the essence of it. Maybe as you were growing up and were actually the child in the story, so you can relate to it from that standpoint. Anyway, the story begins. Imagine you're laying in bed late at night, unable to sleep because you're thinking about your child who is out on their own for the first time. You've told him or her to be in at a certain time. They're half an hour late. Your mind starts to wander and you start to imagine all manner of things. Your heart quickens, your stomach rolls and knots in tension. The possibility of sleep gets further and further away. An hour passes and now you're imagining all the terrible things that could have happened. Fear and worry start to build. Another hour passes and you're now thinking, who can you contact for help? Who will know where your child is? The whole body is a tense, knotted mass. Suddenly you hear a key in the front door and you know your child is safe. That is relief. That is the relief that you need to fully grasp. That is the power of relief that you will be using with the totus unus principle. Let's just do one more thing to bring home the importance of this in the event of you not being a parent. If you're a driver, you will at some point had a near miss. Maybe someone stepped off a curb in front of you, maybe you went into a corner too fast on a motorcycle, or an oncoming vehicle narrowly missed you. Immediately the situation passed, you will have felt relief. You can maybe define this relief in bodily terms as we did in the late child story. In this scenario, of course, there was, unlike the child story, no time to build up that fear. It just happened in seconds and there was the relief as it was over. Okay, so relief we can now understand in a much more physical way. So now when I use that word relief, you will know what I would expect you to feel. Following relief is the all-important belief. Again, we need more than just a word, we need the essence of what the word must mean to us using the totus unus principle. I think a good way to explain this with a short story of the widow's mite, which can be found in the book of Mark 12:41. Now I hasten to add at this point, I am not a religious man in the sense of reading the Bible, or for that matter any faith works, as secular history. For me, I take the central characters of written faith works, not as flesh and blood historic characters, but of states of consciousness. I believe it to be an instruction manual to attain the states of consciousness that we all need to attain if we are able to evolve to a higher plane. Now, of course, that statement will bring forth different reactions in different people, and I respect that in just the same way as one should all respect any person's faith. So please respect one and all. Now back to the widow's mite. Maybe from school you'll remember this biblical story of how the rich were putting in a great deal into the treasury. And then along came a widow and put in 2 small coins, the equivalent of 1 penny. This was then explained to the disciples by saying that in truth she had put in more than all who had contributed, for they had put in money they could spare, where she put in everything she had to live on. I'll be so bold as to make a translation based upon this as being a desired state of consciousness and not a people story that happened in history. Imagine that the money referred to in the story was used to express a measure of belief. If we use that as a state of consciousness, we can take from this story that the rich did not give at all. They held back. They had weak faith. Within themselves, they wanted to hold on to some perceived security, just in case it did not work out. The widow, however, gives all. And the words of the story emphasise this by saying, she put in everything she possessed, all that she had to live on. Her state of consciousness then was one of total and utter belief. Now all of a sudden it might seem like there is a mountain of dedication and hard work ahead for you, which you must dedicate your life to. Well, be assured this is not the case. The totus unus principle is beauty in simplicity and ease of use. In this show then we have covered the importance of relief and also that of belief. You'll be pleased to hear Then the very next show, you're going to put your plans into action. You're going to bring whatever you decided on in show number 5 directly into your life. Just as a side point here, I did promise you a story that I would tell you about somebody who reverse engineered the process. I haven't had time to do that this time, so I will do that in the next show. So take care of you and yours until next time, and the next show will be titled Dreams Solidified.